started a Juris Doctor degree at the University of Sydney. My graduating year was 2019, so I've been working in an international law firm for about 5 years now. I started when I was doing my second year of the Juris Doctor. And today I want to talk to you about the clerkship application process and generally just clerkships. I know that that's a topic that a lot of law students would be interested in, and let's just have a bit of a chat, and I'll give you some insights into what a clerkship process, clerkship applications process, and just generally whether it's a useful thing to have done as a law student in your legal career. So today I will give some insights, tips. Let's go. So it's dawned on me that it is clerkship season in Australia, and I'm an Australian admitted lawyer. I was admitted in 2020, and I went through a clerkship, and it wasn't an easy process. So I thought it would be a good idea to talk about what I went through, my experience, and just talk about whether it's actually useful for a legal career. Now, the first question that I want to raise is, as a law student, you're probably thinking, should I be doing a clerkship? A lot of your friends, a lot of your peers would have started talking about it, and you're probably wondering, is this a good thing for me? I only found out about clerkships when I went to law school, in my first year of law school, and I heard about the whole application process from my peers, but also from the careers counselors that we had, and also the Sydney University Law Society. There were a lot of events that discussed clerkship applications, and also what was helpful is a lot of law firms actually came to present to us during these, there were usually these lunchtime sessions that were held on campus, and it was really useful that the lawyers from the representative lawyers from these law firms would come and speak to you about what they're looking for in their graduates, and how you can apply, and giving you tips and tricks as well. So the clerkship is a summer or winter, usually in Australia. It's towards the Christmas season and after the Christmas season. So that's the summer applications, the summer clerkship. Some law firms actually do it in the winter, and usually it's a shorter process, a shorter stint, not process. And what happens is you show up at the law firm if you have this clerkship, and you spend a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, working for the law firm. And you get to rotate normally around the different practice areas and perform tasks and be introduced to partners and lawyers, attend various events, and usually there's some kind of, well, for me it was anyway, there was a test or an assessment in the end, which was a presentation based on an assignment, and we had to do a practice pitch to the partners, and that was quite a fun exercise to do in groups. So the clerkship is your glimpse into big law, because all the big law firms participate, all the Magic Circle, medium size, small firms, even boutique firms have started running their own application processes. So I would say that it's a really useful way for you to find out whether working in a law firm is for you, and you're given this opportunity to see what it's like. You're given an opportunity to network and also do certain legal tasks, and I think that it's a great program to be a part of. However, it is a very competitive process, so there is pros and cons as to whether every single person or every single law student should be applying for a clerkship. That's not necessarily my advice. It really depends on what you would like to do in your legal career. So touching on that a bit more, on what you want to do in your legal career, if you want to practice in big law, if you want to work in commercial law, private practice, you want to be a transactional lawyer, a litigator, you want to do IP, there's all kinds of practice areas within these bigger law firms as well. I would say that a clerkship is a fantastic way to get an insight and also to then be able to receive a position or be in a position, have an opportunity to receive a graduate role, which is a traineeship or a contract that you get once you've finished your law degree. Because the clerkship happens in your penultimate year between your second and third year for the JD, and it's between your fourth and fifth year for the LLB. And this is when it's a great opportunity to receive a role within a law firm because you've done the clerkship, and this is something that kind of sets you up. You don't have to worry about getting a job once you graduate, so it's a really great way to finish off your law school knowing that you already have a job lined up. And if you want to practice within a private practice firm, if you want to do commercial law, like I said, this is a fantastic way for you to experience it and then also get a job in those areas. You also get to do rotations in most clerkships, which is fantastic because if you weren't sure about a certain practice area, whether you wanted to do corporate, whether you wanted to do IP, you can request that, or you can apply and then be given an opportunity to spend a few weeks in one team and then spend a few weeks in another team. And each law firm does it separately and differently, but there is that opportunity. So something to consider. Like I said, the application process can be very, very competitive, and it can be quite harsh because you may end up going to a number of interviews and then not get any offers, or you could apply for one clerkship and then get that offer. So you just can't predict that. What you need to do is prepare yourself as best you can, put your best foot forward, and then go for it after having made the decision on whether a clerkship is a good idea for you. If you have decided that you want to have a go at the clerkship applications, you would like to get into a law firm, you want to be a commercial lawyer, now you've started your applications, and every single law firm has their own criteria. A big part of that application is your resume. Usually there's a cover letter that's required as well, and once you've shown interest in a particular firm, you can also attend a networking evening or a networking lunch. I attended quite a few of those, and the law firm will show you, do a bit of a presentation. Sometimes it was drinks, sometimes it was dinner as well. It's usually held at the offices of the law firm that you applied for. And so you get to network a little bit with your peers and also the people that work there. How important are grades in this application process? There is all kinds of information that you'll hear. A lot of people will say to you that you must be at least an HD student or a D student in order to even be considered for an interview because you have to submit your transcripts as well. I found that there was kind of a mixed position. Your grades are not the be-all and all, and that's the general advice that I can give. However, if you haven't done well overall, and there are certain subjects that you just passed, it may be looked at as something that's negative. However, you can always redeem yourself with potentially having gotten an HD in a subject that was really interesting to you, and you can explain that to the interviewer. You can explain that in your cover letter and address those weaknesses where you perhaps didn't get the best grade in torts, for example, but you did really, really well in contracts. And you can say, well, I'm really interested in doing commercial law. I want to be an M&A lawyer. I want to help commercial clients. And so for me, it's really important to understand the commercial side of things. So a passion of mine is to do that. So my grades kind of reflect that. And also you can supplement any lack of amazing grades by other things that you can demonstrate. So for example, experience that you have from potentially doing an internship, being involved in various societies and clubs at your law school, and also showing other hobbies and interests that might be of value. So it's just how you demonstrate that. So grades are not the only thing that law firms look at, but I wouldn't discount them as being something that's quite important. So, study hard. Another question that I want to address is, how many applications should I be submitting? i.e., how many law firms should you be applying to? I narrowed it down to about 10 applications, maybe fewer. But in my cohort, there were a lot of people that were basically applying to every single open application that existed, maybe 20 or 30. It's a lot of work. And also, I wouldn't recommend just copying and pasting the law firm name into your cover letter, because every single firm will be looking for that extra level of engagement. My recommendation is to think about what interests you have, research the firms really well. The law firms' websites are a really good source, but I actually found these networking events and the open events that the law firms put on, and actually speaking with the people that work there is probably your best insight into the culture of the firm and what they can offer you. And so I would, if you don't want to do a scattergun approach and apply to every single firm that ever existed, I would narrow my applications down to the firms that you really like. So for example, I wanted to focus on firms that had international offices, because to me that was a big motivator, that I could actually move offices, and there was a lot of interconnectedness with global teams and cross-border, and I thought that that was interesting. But that's not to say that if you start in a very local firm, you can't then move overseas. Like, there's always opportunities, but for me that was important, and so I preferred and selected firms that had an international presence. And like I said, I didn't do as many as I think I should have done. So if a clerkship was really important to you, I wouldn't risk it. I would do as many as possible. It is hard work, but that commitment will pay off, because it's a numbers game at the end of the day. It can be. or you can focus your applications and really go for the very few that you really like. So it's up to you, but to increase your chances, I would do as many as possible. That would be my tip. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is networking events. So as mentioned, law firms will usually put on, during the clerkship application process, these open days or open evenings or lunches where they will invite the applicants, students, to attend a soiree or a lunch or drinks at the offices of the firm generally. And usually there'll be, everyone, the managing partner, a group of other partners representing different practices, HR, so recruitment consultants, and there'll be junior lawyers generally present that you can ask questions of. And I actually found those interactions to be quite wholesome. People were quite willing to answer questions. Partners were, they were there for a reason. They were there to show the firm in the best light. And so I wouldn't shy away from asking questions. I wouldn't shy away from asking the partners and the lawyers that you meet to connect on LinkedIn, or to so later you can link up and then maybe have coffees to then understand the process a bit more, to understand the practice a bit more. And usually people were quite receptive to that. I've caught up with many lawyers through these events and partners and asked my questions, and I still keep in touch with many of them today. Because I think that that's showing, if you show genuine interest, then networking doesn't need to be hard or scary or intimidating. Networking and attending all of these events is not where you have to present yourself and be memorable and funny and impress every single person around you. I actually also found that the people that behaved in quite a almost selfish way, where they try to, speak to the partner and not let anybody else get in on the conversation, or people would form their own little circles and kind of exclude other people that have attended. I thought that behavior was not so nice, and I think you can also observe it. And so if you see that kind of behavior and you don't resonate well with it, and if it's demonstrated by the people from the firm, I think that that's something that also shows the culture that you could potentially be facing, but it also could be just the individuals. So these events are opportunities for you to ask further questions, to go and see the offices of the firm, to connect with the members of that law firm, the partners, the lawyers, and to get a bit of a vibe. On what's happening generally. So I would say that those events were super important, because after you attend those, you can actually really personalize your cover letter and say, I've really enjoyed meeting so-and-so partner at this event. Thank you for inviting me to that. And that showed me that the firm is really invested in XYZ, and this is why I really feel like I can add value to this practice group. So you can really tailor your cover letter based on the people that you've met at these events and what you've observed and what you've heard. And I think that that's also a brilliant way to differentiate yourself amongst other applicants. One more thing that I would like to add is the Sydney University Law Society actually were really, really insightful and useful in terms of the materials that they provided. Apart from inviting various law firms to come and speak with us, they also produced a guide that talks about what you should be inserting in your resume, what kind of cover letter you should be drafting, and all kinds of various tips on the application processes. They also had deadlines in there, and the different law firms with all the contacts, and it was very, very useful to have that guide. It was very useful to attend, again, the events, the talks from the different law firms. So if your law school is doing things like that, find out whether the law society within your university is doing things like that, and if not, you could potentially volunteer to run those. You could try to get involved in these events and these talks, and I think that's also a good idea and also a good opportunity to showcase that you are capable, that you are involved in various activities, that you can lead, that you can run teams, and also you'll create a network of with lawyers and law firms just through those interactions. So I would research that as a student, find out whether your university has those activities, and even reach out to law firms to ask them if they would like to come and present at your campus. So that's one thing that I think is a cool thing to do if you're interested in clerkships. So I think those are my general ramblings about the clerkship application process. I hope that was helpful. I can mostly talk about my experience, and all of these things that I've noted are from what I experienced as a law student going through the clerkship process. Of course, that's not reflective of what you will be going through, and you need to ask yourself, is it even worth it? Because that's a hard, a couple of months of preparation, and then going to all these events, plus that's the end of the exam process. So it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy, and if ultimately you don't want to go into a commercial law firm environment or private practice, kind of ask yourself, is this the best use of my time? Because there are a ton of other options. And also, if you did go through that process, or if you are going through that process, there is no guarantee. There is no guarantee that you will get that clerkship from that firm that you really wanted to join, and it can be very disappointing. But I assure you that the clerkship is not the only way to get into that law firm that you really wanted to go to. Because once you graduate, a lot of law firms also have graduate spots where they take people without, the clerkship. You can go and get experience elsewhere and then get into that law firm. So the clerkship is not everything. It is a really great way to kickstart your legal career if you want to be a corporate lawyer, commercial lawyer. But it's not the only way. So I would have a go if that's your thing, if you really want to. I would recommend it. I thought it was, a great way to start practicing. But I wouldn't be so disappointed if I didn't get it, because I've seen my friends and peers do really well without clerkships and all get different roles and opportunities and go their way and have fantastic careers. So there's other things. So yeah, I hope that was really helpful. I really hope that I wasn't just rambling on, but yeah, again, if you've got questions, I'm happy to answer in the comments. If you want to connect with me, there's my social media, and I'm always looking for ideas as to what other content to put out there in terms of guiding law students or working in law firms. So if you have specific questions, please put them in the comments below, and I will try to make more videos addressing those questions that you have. Thanks for joining me. Please subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I'll see you next time.